we got a very special guest. Player I played with, great dude, awesome football player, Isaiah Garcia-Castenada. Did I get it right?
Almost. Castaneda.
Castaneda, Castaneda,
You good.
Castaneda. Well, I appreciate you coming on because I know how summer is. I
Yeah,
know
man.
the bed is priceless right now.
For sure. For sure. No, I'm happy to be here, bro. Appreciate you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I like to just start the shows off pretty plain, pretty basic. Just kind of getting to know where you're from, a little bit about how you grew up. So just give us a backstory, where you grew up, childhood a little bit.
Yeah, so originally I was actually born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Um, got a lot of family from New Mexico. Still have a lot there, but I grew up there till I was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And then my dad, he was in the Marine Corps. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so he got orders to be stationed in California. So when I was like 7 or 8, we moved to Southern California, small military town called 29 Palms, California.
Mm.
And nobody ever knows where it's at. Like
Right, right, right.
it's like real small. I always gotta say by Palm Springs. You've heard Palm Springs before, but yeah, I was there pretty much for the rest of the time. Like my parents still live there.
Mm.
That's still home to me. So yeah, I grew up there. Other than that, not much to it really.
Right. So growing up, when did football come into play? Was it a childhood thing where you gravitated towards it, or was there other sports involved?
It started early on. I feel like I used to like my uncle's big football fan, my dad, my grandpa. So like I was always like watching obviously NFL football
Right.
growing up when I was a kid and stuff. And then finally like I played flag football like early on, probably when I was like 6, 5,
Right,
6,
right.
something like that. And then uh tackle football that time came around when I was like 7 or 8.
Oh, wow,
And
you was a youngin' in there.
yeah,
There you go.
I was like 7 or 8, bro. And like my mom and dad, they signed me up. And then like from that first season, it was like instantly just fell in love with it. Like it was easily by far my favorite sport. Like since then, I like knew I was like obviously every kid wants to be an
Right.
NFL player, but like I was that kid. Like as a
Mhm.
little kid, I'm just like, man, this is like there's nothing better than this. Like
Right.
literally, like this is the best sport in the world. So yeah, it started off early for me.
Who was your favorite player, like, when you was a youngin'?
Well, when I was young, I'm a Cowboys fan, so
Oh, boy.
I didn't even want to say that, but I had to because when I was young, like obviously I used to love watching the Cowboys. So
Right.
like this is a player that not a lot of people probably even remember as a throwback, but like at the time, Marion Barber
Oh,
was
wow.
running back.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
at the time, Marion Barber was my favorite player, and because I played running back, like that was my position. I didn't play receiver till like 8th grade,
Oh,
so
wow.
I was always a running back growing up. So I used to love watching Marion Barber, and I was almost number 24 because of him, but then I ended up getting 14 because of my uncle, and I stuck with that. But yeah, Marion Barber was definitely a player that I loved when I was little. I had his jersey and everything.
Really? Do you think playing running back when you was younger kinda helped you be comfortable carrying the ball, like, when you're older?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like just it came natural to me already, but
Mhm.
then like obviously making the transition to wide receiver, like once I got older and realized like I wasn't really a big dude, and I was like I had speed, so
Right.
it's like I kind of knew I was going to transition into receiver if I wanted to play in college and stuff. And so yeah, as far as like carrying the ball and stuff like that, like vision, like I feel like that definitely like translated over from playing running back my whole life.
Mm. So going into high school, uh, was there a moment where it kinda clicked and you're like, "Okay, I could play at the next level?"
I feel like I always believed in myself that I
Mm.
could, but what made it a little bit like kind of make me have some question marks sometimes was being from a really small town and a
Mm.
really small high school that like guys didn't get recruited out of my high school. And I mean I didn't get recruited. Like so once I was in high school, kind of getting older, playing varsity and stuff like that, like I always felt like I could play at the highest level,
Mhm.
but it was just kind of a matter of like how am I gonna get there?
Right,
Like
right.
what's it gonna take? Like my route, like my dad always told me, like my route is just gonna be a little bit different
Mm.
than some of the guys that get offers straight out of high school
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So I feel like it more hit me that I could play at this level when I played in junior college, like out of
Really?
high school. Yeah, that's when it like really hit me because as a true freshman in JUCO, like I came in, started every game, put up almost 1,000 yards, off like 46, 44
Oh
catches or
my
something like
god.
that.
Oh my,
13,
what'd you average, like
13
20,
touchdowns.
23, 24 yards a catch?
Yeah,
Bro,
somewhere
that's
around there.
nuts. That's
Yeah, it
nuts.
was.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
that was fresh out of high school, true freshman, and that was like at a JUCO, Saddleback College is what it's called in
Right.
Southern California. But it's a very competitive JUCO, like one of the best in the country in my opinion. We were
That's
ranked.
SoCal?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's in Orange County, so Southern
Oh
California.
yeah.
So we were when we were playing, we were like at one point ranked like third in the country, like JUCO wise,
Mhm.
ranked like third or fourth in the nation. So it was competitive. That's when I knew I was like, I think I could
Right.
take this somewhere, like for real.
Did you have those? I had D Money. There is more on here,
Oh yeah.
and he was telling me some JUCO stories of how there was some nights he didn't have nothing to eat. Like,
Yeah.
did you have those? I'm not saying you not have nothing to eat, but
No,
like
no.
I'm saying just like the JUCO struggle experience of like 5, 6 dudes in the crib.
Yeah. I fortunately didn't have to necessarily experience like super bad struggles while I was
Right.
in JUCO, but I definitely like I witnessed my
Hmm.
teammates. Like I got fortunate enough to my coach, one of my coaches on the staff, he got me in contact with this older lady. Her name was Barbara, and she had previous years rented out a room at her house to like
Really.
players on the football team. And so I ended up getting connected with her, and she lived in Laguna Niguel, which is like a very nice area, like
Mm.
10, 15 minutes away from the campus. And basically reached out to her and was like, hey, look,
Oh
like I'm
wow.
fresh out of high school, like
Uh-huh.
gonna be playing football, going to school here at Saddleback. Like, are you still, available to rent a
Hmm.
room, to a player like me? And so she was like super nice lady, all for it. And down there is really expensive too, like
Hmm.
cost of living. And like one thing that other people, like most people don't know about JUCOs on the West Coast is there are no scholarships, there's no dorms, there's no meal plans. Like you got to pay for everything. So I got hooked up to with a room at her house for like $600 a month, which for that area
Oh.
is like
Yeah, that's
that's
gold. Yeah,
insane.
that's
Like
gold.
so, I was there, yeah, and I was cooking for myself for the first time out of high
Oh yeah.
school, like meal prepping. You know what I mean? So like, I made sure I budgeted what I had with the money that
Hmm.
I had and stuff like that. So, I was very thankful for her. She actually, rest in peace. She passed away 2022. She had
Mm.
cancer when I met her,
Mm.
but yeah, it was. If it wasn't for her, then honestly, I probably would have been sharing a crib with a
Right.
bunch of teammates, and who knows like how that would have went. But I remember like some of my teammates would be like 8 deep in a 2 bedroom apartment. Like dudes are putting up uh basically just occurring in one room to try and split a single room up. You got
Yeah,
air
yeah,
mattresses on the
yeah.
living room couches. Like I don't witness it. Like I've seen it there, so it's definitely a struggle. But fortunately, I didn't have to necessarily live like that, so I
Mm.
was thankful for that. But yeah, it's definitely tough because you got to provide for yourself out there. It's no, like I said, no scholarships, nothing like that. So
Right.
it's a different type of world.
So you're in JUCO and you had this great year. Was it like automatic, like schools coming in offering you? Like when did New Mexico get on the table?
Probably like I want to say it was like definitely the second half of the season when I
Okay.
started hearing from
So it was
schools.
during
Like,
the season.
yeah, it was
Okay.
during the season when I started hearing from schools, and like I remember created a new Twitter account for that year for like recruitment purposes because obviously like nowadays that's where.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and so like throughout the season, as I'm after each game, I'm putting my highlights together and like instantly just like I probably sent 50 emails a day at one point,
Really?
like just going online, finding coaches' emails and in the staff directories and stuff. Just I write one paragraph, copy and paste, just send it to
Is
like
that something you would
everybody.
recommend to JUCO guys?
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
That
that
and I
worked?
was doing that on emails and Twitter. Like
Mm.
any coach that was a recruiting coordinator, position coach at a school that I was interested in, like I'm following them, messaging them if they have their messages open. And finally, like about mid-season or a little bit past mid-season is when I started like hearing some things back because at that point, like I was putting up pretty solid numbers
You had the
for.
numbers to
Yeah.
co-sign it. Got
And
you.
I had the film. I was uploading the film and stuff like that. So yeah, my first offer came probably I want to say like week 7, 8, something like that,
Mm.
somewhere around there, and then that's when the rest of them kinda started coming in.
Mm. So when did you commit? I'm trying to think. December, or was it spring commit for you?
It was December, yeah,
December.
because I was trying to get out of there and go.
Then you
So
got up there the following.
that January,
Oh
like right after
yeah,
the
there you
season.
go.
Yeah.
There
So
you go. You was there for mat drills.
well, that was COVID. That was 2020. So
Oh,
our like spring ball got canceled. We didn't even have spring ball
really?
because COVID happened in like what, February that
So
year.
did they send you back home?
Yeah, I was
Mm.
home for like a good, I want to say like 3-4 months. Like it
I
was
remember that.
no haircut,
Yeah.
roughing it, bro.
And this is Cali.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I was back home in Cali. Yeah, and
That's the
so
real COVID
yeah,
quarantine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough. It was rough, but yeah, I had enrolled and everything. That's the other thing I think about. Like, thank God that I had them offers
Yeah.
off that first season because obviously nobody knew COVID was about to happen, and that ruined recruitment for a lot of people.
Right.
I'm sure across the country. So luckily, I was already signed there, enrolled, and everything, and then COVID hit. So yeah, but
So you get to New Mexico, obviously COVID happened. Y'all come back, I'm guessing, for probably around this time, right?
yeah, about June,
Summertime,
June.
summertime workout, stuff like that. Was your mindset going into the season like, I'm getting up out of here?
No, it
Really?
wasn't. It was like I was locked in. I was trying to ball out there. Like it
Right.
was, but that's the other thing. Our season got canceled. We didn't
Mm.
have us and UConn were the only two FBS programs that year that didn't have a season whatsoever. Because you know how like most teams were doing just conference,
Right,
but
right, right.
we didn't have none of that because we were independent.
Mm. Oh,
So
yeah, yeah, that's
at the
right.
time we were. Now
Yeah.
they're like
There's Sunbelt, right?
CUSA,
Or
Conference USA.
okay, okay,
Yeah, they used to be Sunbelt though a
okay,
few years back,
okay.
but at the time when I was there, we were independent. So I remember we started fall camp and literally like second day they canceled it because of COVID and everything.
Same at NAU, same.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
and it
terrible.
was like at
So
that
did y'all
point.
play spring?
No, not that. The following spring we had like a mini spring season against two FCS teams. It was weird. We didn't have spring ball the following spring, like spring of 2021,
Right.
but it was like a weird thing. We played like Tarleton State and Dixie State.
Okay. So then you have a whole did y'all do like y'all had like mini fall camp during like October?
No,
Y'all
thank
didn't do
God,
that? Bro,
thank
we did,
God.
bro. It was terrible. It was so bad.
I was so glad we didn't do that because I was worried about that. I was like, damn, like they're probably just gonna make us like practice, like
Right.
still, even though we're not playing
Y'all
in the
didn't
season.
practice at all
No, we just went straight into
to lift?
off-season workouts,
Oh,
bro.
that would have been awesome.
It low key blessed me. Like
Yeah.
I looking back on it now, like I don't think my body physically was ready
Mm,
for that season.
right.
In all honesty, like I'm sure I would have like been decent, but like looking back on it now, like having the season canceled and then going straight into off season, having that whole off season to just get a little stronger, a little bit bigger, like I think that was kind of a blessing in disguise for me
Right.
because I don't know if I was really ready physically at that point, but
So 2021, y'all come back after the spring, summer, and then y'all get into the season
mhm,
and you go pretty crazy. I ain't gonna cap.
yeah,
I seen the film when you first came to Nebraska. I seen the film. I
yeah.
seen the film. You went crazy.
Especially, and we didn't have a great year.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
went like 2-10. Like
Oh
it was,
Lord,
yeah,
jeez.
it was rough. So like considering the circumstances and the targets that I did get, like I had like a mindset. It was just like I got to turn up with every opportunity that I
Mm,
have. You know what I mean? Because it was our coaching staff that year was on a hot seat. So it's like at that point it was like nothing's promised after this year necessarily.
did you play with Rashi out there?
He was.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play like in a season with him,
Mm-hmm.
but he was on the team when I first got there,
Okay, okay,
and so I was on a team with him for probably like a good that pretty much that almost that whole COVID year because I remember he entered the portal like after our season was canceled or something
okay,
like that in 2020. But yeah, he was cool. He
okay.
went to Arizona, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I just had to ask. So obviously you go crazy during that year, and then you decide to hit the portal. What was that decision like for you?
It honestly was kind of easy because I kind of got like I had help and influence from the staff that was there because they got fired after that
Oh, so
season.
that's kind of what forced the decision.
Yeah, like
Mm,
they got fired, and my position coach, my receiver coach, he like encouraged me to, and the head coach, like they were at that point, like I had I had the film, like I
right.
had the numbers, considering like the targets and catches I had and stuff, and they kind of like told me like, look, like I think you can go P5, like
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good opportunity to um just see where it goes, like into the portal. Like obviously they weren't going to be there; they're about to get
Right.
fired, and then there was it's always hard with the new staffs coming in, you know what I mean? And, like, I hadn't experienced that before, so, and obviously, like, at a young since a young age, like, my ultimate goal was to play Power 5, like, the
Right.
highest level, so I was just like, yeah, it was kinda like a real bet on yourself moment, see what happens. I was nervous though, for sure, because I
Right.
was like that was also when the portal was, like, somewhat fresh, like, it was not
Yeah.
jumping like it is now,
First
you know
like
what I
2
mean?
years of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, like which is also kinda good because like, there wasn't a lot going on in the
Mm.
portal, so,
Right.
um, yeah, I was nervous though at first because I was just like, "Well, what if I don't get offered or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that?" But
'Cause folks get stuck in there.
yeah, no,
Folks
they do
get
for
that's a
sure,
real thing. That's a
and
real thing.
but
So
yeah, luckily it went good,
eh,
but
so what obviously Nebraska come in, was the other schools that kind of had your eye like, okay, I'm thinking about this, or was it strictly Nebraska?
no, I had some other schools. My top 3 actually came down to here, Minnesota, and Iowa State.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Oh
save
wow.
there. Save it
Yeah.
with the state.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, it was tough though because I'd entered the portal in December after the season
Mhm.
ended, and I was trying to be at a new school that January. So,
Right.
like, I didn't have much time to, like, go on a bunch of visits, and they were about to have, like, a dead period, and, like, you can't do visits obviously on the dead period. So, like, I set up my 3 OVs to Iowa State, Minnesota, and Nebraska, literally back to back days. Like normally it's a whole weekend for one school.
Mhm.
I went Iowa State Thursday, flew to Minnesota Friday morning, flew to Nebraska
Oh my
Saturday.
goodness. You was exhausted by the time you got
Yes,
to
I was.
Nebraska, huh?
Yes, me and my parents, both all 3 of us came. My parents we were all just tired by the time we got home, but I had no choice because the next week was dead week because of like the high school
Oh
signing
yeah,
days and
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
So I was like, gotta be I got to make my decision because I was trying to be at a new school in January.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I had other schools too, other offers: Arizona, Utah,
Oh wow.
Hawaii. But this was also the thing: Arizona was coming off of a terrible season.
Trash.
Yeah, so I was like, kind of like
Yeah.
off rip. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
there. and then
Yeah.
and then the following year they kind of turned
Yeah,
up, and
yeah,
I'm like, okay,
yeah.
like, but and then Utah. I probably would have heavily considered Utah
Yeah,
because
Utah's
Utah's
tough.
nice.
Yeah,
they had
Utah's
just
tough.
won the Pac-12
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's closer to home for me, you know what I
True,
mean?
true,
So,
true.
but it was kinda weird. They offered and then kinda, like, ghosted for a week and then hit me up, like, a week later and was like, "Oh, can we still get you on a visit? You're our guy still, yada, yada,"
But
and
I hate how recruiting
I'm
be,
like,
bro.
"Nah,"
Oh
like,
my
first of
goodness.
all, it's too late, like, I'm on a time crunch at this point,
Right,
and
right,
2, like, I would've totally, like, been down for that, but it kinda fell off, so it's
right.
like other schools were showing more interest and stuff, but yeah, that's what it came down to was Minnesota here, Iowa State.
So you commit to Nebraska,
Mhm.
you get here. Um, what was like? I'm trying to think. Were you here for a spring ball,
I
or
was,
do you
yeah.
come?
I
Okay,
didn't play though, cause I had hurt my hamstring. I pulled my hamstring like probably literally like 2 weeks before spring ball,
okay, got you.
but I
So
was here though,
I'm
so
pretty. I'm pretty sure we was doing signals together, probably.
probably, yeah, probably.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I don't even know, cause I think I was still kinda confused with that offense. You probably knew a lot more
yeah,
than me,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The offense. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. So uh, first game. I'm trying to think. 2022 Ireland.
Mhm.
Yeah, what was that experience like? I mean,
That
obviously
was
that was
it was crazy.
like
Like,
especially for you. You went absolutely nuts.
yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. It was
Right.
like especially like a lot of people don't know this, but that week that we were in Ireland, cause we obviously
Hmm.
went there like a week early, whatever,
Right.
to get acclimated. Like that entire week I got sick as a dog, bro.
Really?
Like, I'm talking about I'm waking up every night in the hotel with cold sweats, body aches. Like, I lost like 8 pounds in just that 1 week leading up to the game, and I was like, "Man, this is like"
It was
it was
that.
fun,
It was
like,
that food, huh?
I don't know what it
That
was,
food was
bro.
trash out there.
Not seasoned. No seasoning. I'm not gonna lie. It was bland, but, like, it was cool, the
Oh
experiences that we
yeah,
got to go, like,
yeah.
sightseeing, seeing the city, all the things that we did, it was fun, but like, during the day, I feel, like, decent, but, man, I wake up just feeling horrible, so that was another thing that sucked because 'cause I'm, like we're still having practice, obviously,
Mm,
throughout that week too, so it's, like, I'm not even, like, feeling good, like, I'm not feeling like myself whatsoever, and then, yeah, it ended up happening the way it did in the game, which was crazy, but, yeah, it was definitely, like I wasn't expecting it to go like that
right,
off rip, first game,
right, right.
but it was cool.
So we flip around, and then I'm pretty sure we come back home, and you get to play in Memorial for the first time. What was that like?
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd always like up to that point seen videos of it and
Mhm.
like heard it from other teammates and stuff like that. Like that it's really jumping and gets wild, but that's something that like it don't. It's not gonna hit you until you experience it yourself.
Nah,
Like
for real.
I just remember like running out, and I still to this day like
Bro.
if I like I don't think it'll ever get old. Like I remember running out of the stadium. Like when you're running out of tunnel walk, it's just crazy how because it's obviously like a bowl, so you can't even see out of the stadium. But you run out and you just see literally nothing but red, and it's
Bro.
like the chills you get when you're running
Yeah.
out. It's like it's crazy, but
Yeah. One of the things I had to master when I got here was because I came from a small school. You could probably relate to this. Is um the mental side of like getting ready for a game. Like usually you gotta like amp yourself up and get like
you almost gotta like be careful and not get too amped, bro.
exactly.
Yes,
That's why I was working a lot with Dr. Brett was like trying to trying to stay level
yeah,
and use the crowd, but not let it use you.
yeah.
And
No,
yeah,
I definitely get that because
yeah.
coming from New Mexico
How many did
State,
y'all get at New
like,
Mexico?
okay, game one was the best attendance we had because that was against UTEP, our rival,
What was it?
and it was like 16,000.
Okay.
So it wasn't nothing crazy.
Right,
But
right.
for that stadium, it only held like 30. So like
Okay. So it
it was pretty
felt
packed
packed.
for that stadium. But every game after that, we'll be lucky if we get 1,000. I'm not lying
A
to you.
thousand?
Like 2,000, 3,000, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I can feel that.
but like I said, we didn't really have a great year that year. So,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, that big difference coming to here,
Yeah.
seeing every
Bruh.
home game, no matter who it's against, no matter what the record is, it's nothing like it here.
Nothing
It's
like it.
crazy.
Yeah, so we're just talking about your time in Nebraska, and this kind of where we get to learn a little bit more about you, on the field, but also off the field, and just how you think. So last 2 years, kind of dealt with some injuries. Um, how has that process been for you? Mentally and the growth of it, and just how that journey's been.
Yeah, it's been tough to say the least. I
Right.
mean, like the ACL, the knee injury, that was like the first season ending, like severe injury that I've ever had in my life. Like I've
Oh,
dealt
was a
with
ever.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Like I've dealt with stuff like a torn hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've dealt with that twice. But like that's obviously something that like you come back, 8 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, like
Right.
depending on how fast you can recover. But as far as like a legit like season ending, like this was the first one. So this one was definitely like the hardest that I've had to go through. And especially the way it happened, like off rip game one, like you go through an entire off season, like
Mm-hmm.
working, 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 and then go out game one. It's like, man, like it's just disappointing because you can't control it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's bound to happen. Or something, football, it's a physical sport. Like it's stuff like that's gonna happen, but it's just like I was definitely like crushed because I was like, man, like I was feeling like it was gonna be a good year, hoping it was gonna be a good year, for me personally and the team, and
Mm-hmm.
it was tough. But yeah, the past few months it's been a journey, but I mean, like I was telling you earlier, like it's always having its ups and downs, and you don't like see the progress in like while you're doing it, but you just look back, last month, 2 months ago, and you're like, dang, like I am doing a lot more than what I
Right.
could do just a few weeks ago. So you just gotta like me, I just try and stay positive and just try and put my faith in God and
Mm-hmm.
just keep controlling what I can control. Cause I mean, negative attitude, like at the end of the day, is not really gonna help. So
Yeah, it's gonna
which it's
kill you.
easier said
Yeah.
than done
Yeah.
for sure. But like, I still not gonna sit here and act like I don't struggle with it because it's hard. But it's just something that I just try and keep working at.
Right. So the moment it happened in Minnesota, like what went through your mind? Like just like in the moment, injury happened. I don't know if they did the ACL test on the sideline. Like what was that moment like?
Yeah, it was like right when it happened. I remember as soon as my knee got hit, I like dropped to the floor, and I felt like it was like a numb, tingly, like weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And like how in like movies, whenever like uh injury happens in like a sports movie or something, the like sound in the movie goes silent, like the
Mhm.
crowd goes
Yeah,
silent,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like the crowd's going on, but like for the player in his
Mhm.
mind, like he can't hear nothing.
Right.
It's just that's literally what happened, bro. It was
Really?
weird. Like I, boom, got hit, fell down, and I couldn't hear nothing. Like it was just like silent because I knew something like probably like kind of severe because I
Mhm.
never felt something like that before. And so like I try and like I get up to a knee, and then when I stand up, that's when I realized I was like, oh crap, because I couldn't put like any pressure on it.
Mhm.
And so I run off the field, but I'm like hobbling, like I'm with limping pretty bad. But I get off the field and I go sit down straight on the bench. And I'm still not thinking like the worst though, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, maybe I just got rolled up on. Like I just need to let it chill out for a second.
Right.
I sat down and they're like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm straight. Like just let me chill for a sec." And then they're like, "No, let's go to the tent real quick." So I'm like, "All right." We go to the tent. And they start doing the ACL test. And like after them going back and forth probably about 4 or 5 times, I was like, it's taking a little bit too long. Like, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like if it wasn't something serious, I feel like they would have already told me by now. And like I sat up and I was like, "What is it?" And then they're like, "We think it's a ligament. Like, we're gonna keep you out, get an MRI tomorrow." And this was like early fourth quarter. And I'm like, dang. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, get ice on it. I'm just chilling. Adrenaline starts wearing down and like pain just increases. And I'm like, oh, like this is, I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. And so that next day is when I got the MRI, came in and like still wasn't necessarily thinking the worst because I don't ever want to like, you
Exactly.
don't ever
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
naturally think the
Yeah.
worst. But yeah, got the MRI and then like probably an hour or two later, I'm sitting there like doing treatment. I'm sitting here this whole time thinking I'm like maybe got like a bone bruise or something
Right.
because
Deep contusion.
yeah, because Marcus Washington, he
Mhm.
had like similar like kind of battle with a little knee injury in camp, and like his was like a bone bruise, and like he was like telling me it was like similar symptoms. I'm like, we were literally in the locker room after the game in Minnesota chopping it up, and I'm like, Marcus, I'm like, how's yours feel? Like, could you do this? Like, did it feel like it hurt
Mhm.
this doing that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I couldn't really walk on it. Like, it was like same thing. He's like, you probably just got a bone bruise. And I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like made me feel a little bit
Yeah.
better.
If
I'm
you know
like,
Marcus, it make it so much
I know,
funnier.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. And then, yeah, get the MRI the next day. I'm in the training room doing treatment. I'm like, still just like, I'm chopping it up, whatever, like doing what I got to do. And then Chris, our head trainer, comes over and I'm like, oh, did the results come in? He's like, yeah. And then he was like, just real like serious. And then he's like, you tore your ACL. And I was like,
Mm.
instant, just like shock, like lost for words. I'm like, what? Like, no way. Like, that's literally the last thing that like most football players want to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's yeah.
and I'm like,
That's the holy grail injuries.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no way. Like, I was just in shock. And I'm like, dang. So I'm like, kind of just sitting there, like, nobody really knows because obviously you just told me. So I'm like, just trying to process it. And then I like call my parents and like they answer and I tell them. And as soon as I let them know, like I could just hear it in their voice. They're like just going through it. And my uncle was with them at the time. And like, as soon as he got on the phone, like I just started like bawling.
Mm.
Like I just like it just hit me because he was emotional, I was emotional, and like that's when the emotions just kind of started flowing. I was just like that's when I was like, man, this is real. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I really did like my season's done. Like
Yeah.
there's no come back in a few weeks. Like it's over. So yeah, that was rough. And I remember walking into the locker room like on crutches. Like shortly after that, Marcus is in there. The other guys are in there in the team. And I'm like, they're like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, man, like tore it. Like I tore my knee, tore ACL. Marcus was like, what? Like he's like, Marcus, like he just he's like, man, we sitting here thinking you had a bone bruise. I'm like, yeah, like
uh,
was no bone bruise,
right.
bro. But yeah, just crazy, bro. Crazy.
So I I'm trying to think because I've talked to Nick Henrich, talked about both his ACLs on here, and one thing he said was, and I could relate to as well. Um, you kind of like process it, like you're saying, like you process it on the phone, process it, telling people. Then it, like before surgery, it's almost like okay, like we're gonna get right, like
Mhm.
and then you go under the knife and you wake up, and then like reality hits in that you know you're really
Yeah,
can't use this leg no more. Like what was that process like for you waking up?
bro. When I tell you, I never felt more pain in my life
Oh
when I
my
woke up.
goodness.
I'm sitting here thinking I'm gonna wake up numb.
Right.
Like I'm gonna be chilling in recovery, like not feeling my leg. No, I'm telling you, I woke up 10 seconds after I opened my eyes. I feel my knee on 10. And
Mm.
I'm like, what? And I'm sitting there like half asleep, come trying to like come back to off the stuff that they put you on, and I'm like, man, sitting there telling the nurse like, it hurts, it hurts. Like they're like, all right, we're gonna get you medicine, this and that, and like, bro, them first 5 days were the hardest days ever, bro. Like
Mm.
pain wise, that was like it was ridiculous. Like I had never felt that before. Like I don't wish that on nobody.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was rough because I think what made it a little bit rough too is because the doctor was telling me like mine wasn't just ACL. It
Mhm.
was meniscus on the inside and outside, and then like some capsule ligament on the outside. So like I was cut open on the side and the middle, and then like even on the inside a little bit. So he was saying like I kind of had a little bit more done than just like a ACL. So the meniscus part I think is what really like made it like rough and painful, like post surgery. But yeah, that was rough because at that point, like you said, like you kind of then like almost reprocess everything
Right.
and kind of like go through a just a self evaluation. Like, dang, like this is now my life for the next few months. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I can't use this leg. Like it's got to build it back up from the ground up. So it's yeah, it's tough.
Right. Yeah. Okay. To pivot. I know
Got about a 4-minute pivot here.
4 minute pivot. Okay. So you now being one of the older guys in the building, really,
Yeah,
which is kind of probably crazy for you to,
I know.
yeah,
Very weird.
realize. But what is that like for you and like the growth of Isaiah? Like how have you evolved? Obviously through the injuries, but just from JUCO to New Mexico. I know this is a deep question. From JUCO to New Mexico to Nebraska, the injuries, and now like what type of growth have you seen, and like what type of game can you give to the younger guys?
Yeah. I say the biggest thing is really just like learning how to operate on a day to day
Mm,
basis. Like, you know, even our staff now, like they talk about like being a pro and stuff like that and just doing things like a pro. And I feel like over time from JUCO to New Mexico State, like I was still young, fresh out of high school, you know what I mean? Like, um, so it was like I was always looking up to older guys, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like trying to see how they did things and make sure that like I'm competing with them and stuff like that. And just now I really feel like I've matured a lot mentally just in my time here in
mm.
Nebraska. Because I mean, even when I transferred here, like I was only 20 years old when I got here.
That's nuts.
Yeah, like a lot of people think that I was older because I was a transfer coming from another D1 school, but I was young. Like that was literally
Wow.
like year 3 in college. Like I was 20 years old when I got here, and now going on about to be 23 in August, and it's kind of like I look back, I'm just like, dang, these last 3
Mhm.
years, like they went by, but I definitely feel so much more mature on a mental aspect, just uh, knowing how to just operate on a day to day basis. Like I was saying, like just knowing right from wrong, just knowing how to do your job and do it at a high level, you know, and not be you know, liability and just be a trustworthy teammate and somebody that coaches can look to as like
Mm.
a, you know, potential role model for the younger guys and stuff like that. Cause, you know, they definitely do look up to you, the older guys, whether like
Oh
you
yeah.
realize it or not. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and I've now seen that and realized it, you know. So, but it's cool. I enjoy it. Like I've gotten the unks and the
Yeah.
unk
The
names
Uggs.
and all that. Like I'm unk and old head,
Right.
this and
Right.
that. Like
Right.
so, just weird because I've never been in that
Right.
position, but like it's fun.
If
It's
you
cool.
could say, one thing to a freshman coming in, um, what would it be?
Honestly, probably just embrace everything that any older guy or coach tells you.
Mm,
Like whether you know sometimes maybe they are in the wrong or something like that, but like just be open minded. Like
mm,
be coachable. Listen to what everybody's got to say because like there's something that you can learn from everyone, like whether it's good or bad. Like you can make your decisions based off of you know what you see and how you want to operate and how you want to be seen as a player, you know, as a student, as a young man. So I would just say, yeah, be coachable and just be open minded because that'll take you a long way. I feel like just in life, not even just
right.
football, you know, like just yeah.
Love it. All right, we'll go a little rapid fire on some questions that we did not get answered.
All right.
Oh, we didn't do this one. How would you describe your journey this far in like a word or a phrase?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, this
I ain't gonna
tough.
lie. I ain't gonna lie.
You
That
could
is
pull out a
tough.
Drake quote.
That's a tough one.
They don't
Started
get
from the
that.
bottom.
They don't get that one. They don't get that one.
Nah, I don't. I would say, man, bro, I don't even know. That's a tough one. I could say so many different words. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna just be a little cliche and just be like blessing.
Right, right.
Honestly, in all honesty,
Yeah.
like it's just I never thought it would get to where it is now. So I'm just very grateful and blessed to go through everything I've gone through, the good and the bad, because obviously it's made me who I am today. So
Right.
yeah, I would just say it's just been a blessing.
Okay. What was the hardest place you played at? I say this because there's a top 25 list and Nebraska was not on there.
Yeah, so
outrageous
I was
list.
tight.
Outrageous.
I was tight.
Yeah.
I was
Boise
tight.
State was on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I would probably say either Kentucky
Ooh. Yeah, they get rowdy.
or Minnesota was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'll take that.
So, yeah.
I'll take that. Okay. Let's go. What would your pitch be to a recruit that has Nebraska in their like top 3? Quick pitch.
Why not?
Why not?
Like,
Why not?
Literally, why not?
Literally got everything. What's something about IGC folks don't know? Some outside of football, maybe, I don't know.
I got a lot of tattoos.
But yeah, it is.
Yeah.
How many you got? How many you got, you think?
I don't know. I got like big pieces. So like,
right.
The number may not like
Reflect.
match up
Yeah,
with
yeah.
what it is.
When'd you get the first one? That'll kind of give us a sign.
I was like maybe 4 or 5 months after my 18th birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 year old.
Okay. I thought you were about to say 4 or 5 months old.
No.
That's crazy. If not football, what would you be doing? Like if football did not exist, what do you think you would be doing?
Honestly, I probably would have taken. I would have continued to probably take track serious and try to pursue track and field, like at the collegiate level. I was little. I was doing competitive track and stuff. Went to the Junior Olympics twice. That's something I guess people don't know about me either. But
really,
yeah, went to the Junior Olympics as a kid twice. Also a national champion in the 4x4.
My goodness.
But yeah,
Was that the only event, the 4x4, or what did y'all do?
We did that was at nationals. We won a national championship in 4x4. But like individually, I was always doing the 400, 800 sometimes, and 4x4, 4x8. That was when I got a little bit older though. That's what I was like. 400 was my bread and butter. I started off as a 100, 200 guy when I was little. But when I got to like middle school, people got fast. Boy.
Yeah, they did.
Got fast. Like, it wasn't really what
dropping
I was.
Them 10s and 11s.
I was running 11 5s at like 12 years old. I'm like,
yeah.
So I wasn't competitive really in the 1 and the 2 anymore. But the 400, that's why I made my money. So I probably would have tried, try to pursue college track or something.
So last question here.
Yep.
All right. So being that you're kind of at the tail end of this ACL recovery journey, and you're gonna have a great season. I'm already speaking it out there, and everything's gonna go great. But for someone who is about to enter into the same journey that you basically just conquered, what would your advice be?
Man, it gets greater later. Like, to sum it up in simpler terms, like even like you're gonna hit probably some of the lowest of lows that like you've ever hit in your life. Like it's kind of inevitable, but like literally trust God, trust the process. Like, it does get greater later. Like there's just in these past 10 months, like I done hit some times where I was like, I don't even know football. Like if I want to play football anymore, like I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if I'm gonna come back the same. Like I don't know if I'm gonna come back at all. Like it's rough, but like just continue to do things the right way. Just keep living right. Do what you got to do, and things do get better. You just got to keep the consistency with, keep the discipline, keep pushing forward. Don't give up.